throttle input, which is expected. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat today. We have a 2000 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 Cabriolet out here in beautiful San Diego, California. This car has 55,000 miles. It is bone stock, and we're gonna drive up Palomar Mountain and tell you how this thing drives. As for horsepower and torque, coming out of the flat six, these are the numbers, and this is the car's weight. And with that out of the way, let's see how she drives. First impressions, the engine. The engine sounds, it's the traditional flat six howl that you know and love from all Porsche 911s. Now, if you didn't already hear that at the very beginning, I have a habit of grinding this third gear. That's the second time it's happened already in the last 5 minutes. And I'm not sure if there's a problem with the synchro in third, or if third is kind of hard to get into, or if it's just me not being used to the car. But right off the bat, you can feel how nimble and light on its feet this car is. The flat six, it's not gonna blow you away with power, right? This is the Carrera 4, you're not looking at the turbo model, and this is naturally aspirated, but it's totally adequate. This is a car that you're not taking to the racetrack, it's a car that you're enjoying on a windy, twisty mountain road, like here in San Diego. You can put the top down, enjoy the breeze, enjoy the beautiful weather. We're not doing that today for audio reasons. Now the steering on this is a 996. I believe this is a 996.2 because it doesn't have the yoke in the fried egg headlights. And that would mean it has hydraulic steering. Now in terms of hydraulic steering, when I drove the 997 GT3, that was a lot tighter, a lot heavier, but that's also a GT3 obviously, so it's tuned differently. This steering is much lighter. There's a little bit of slop to it, but you have to remember this is a 22-year-old car. Not as precise, a little bit lighter, but I wouldn't say it's a strength of the vehicle. I wouldn't say it's a real weakness that's holding the vehicle back either. It's at least consistent. If you guys saw my GR86 video, I complain about how the steering is so inconsistent at center. This car is at least consistent through and through. You know what you're getting. Now the transmission, in terms of shifting, the pedal box, I mean classic Porsche, killing it with the pedal box. The heel toe is seamless. You don't need to, there's no learning curve. You get in and heel towing is exactly how you would expect it. The pedals are exactly where you want them to be. The gear selector, there's a little bit of lateral slop when you're in the gear, but the actual engagement of getting into each gear is very positive. You have a nice level of resistance and you pop through. Is it a S2000 shifter? Definitely not. But again, similar to the steering, not super strong, not really a weak point either. The engine and the gearing is probably not ideal for such a tight mountainous road like this, because in second gear I really need to wind it out to get to the power band. Like right now I can't go to first, but I need to wait, and now it crescendos. So having a road that was a little bit, I would say, slightly higher speed would be better suited to this car. But don't get me wrong, this engine is fantastic. This is, I mean, a naturally aspirated Porsche flat six that's what you want. Immediate throttle input. That response has no lag to it, unlike this Camaro that I'm driving today as well with the Turbo 4. I mean, apples to oranges. Now the surprising thing is that the car is not very tightly sprung. It's pretty soft and comfortable, and yet the way it handles the corners, it just grips. You wouldn't expect a car is either going to be stiffly sprung and handle well, or it's going to be wallowy and comfortable. But Porsche's done a really great job here of making a comfortable convertible sports car for roads like this, where you don't feel like you're you're a roly-poly Mazda Miata by any means, and you're also not a hardcore track-prepped monster either. Now, it's traditional RR format on, whoa, buddy. On throttle input, I don't know if you saw right before that truck ran over the double yellow. Very slight understeer on throttle input, as expected, especially going uphill. We have a lot of weight on the back. But it makes for much better corner entry, right? You get on the brakes, turn in, getting a much better even weight distribution. So the owner of this car actually daily drives this. And that's really what this car is for. If you want a single, all-purpose sports car where you can be comfortable in it, put the top down when you want, this is a perfect balance of both. If you go GT3, you're probably not going to daily that, it's going to be too harsh. And if you go Porsche Cayenne, Macan, Panamera, you're not going to have as much fun on the twisties. It's a beautiful hybrid, beautiful balance of the both. Yeah, a little bit of understeer on throttle input, which is expected in a 911. And remember, these have McPherson strut front suspension. Only the 992 GT3 has that double wishbone, which I haven't driven yet, but I hear it dials out a lot of that understeer. All right. I was hoping to get a little bit harder on that corner in terms of loading up the front, but these are also stock brakes. In terms of braking power, this is, I mean, there's nothing really to write home about. There's not tremendous bite. Brake pedal modulation is what you would expect. It's pretty standard. Overall, the inputs of this car, though, are well balanced in that the weight of the steering wheel, the effort in the stick shift, the effort on the pedals on the clutch, it's all very well weighted. They're all consistent. In my FRS, as an instance, I took out the clutch helper spring. The clutch feels hella heavy. The steering is somewhat heavy, but it's not always as in balance because I removed that clutch helper spring. With the GR86, all the inputs are very light. With the 997 GT3, the inputs are all very heavy, much heavier than this. Which again, comes down to what is the car designed for? What is the intended purpose? And in a car like this, you want it to do that dual purpose, dual duty. They've done a great job. So what I will say about the steering is that it's not the most accurate, likely due to age, but because it's hydraulic, you do get a good amount of feedback. You can feel the texture of the road, and a big part of steering feel is that. I think it comes down to the feedback, the texture. Does it load up and release in terms of cornering? How accurate is it? And what's the speed? What's the ratio? And the ratio and the feedback on this is spot on. But that precision is a little bit lacking. Again, when this car came out brand new 2000, that might have been a little bit different. But age wears on all cars in different ways. Another thing that's surprising about a car built in 2000 like this is it's actually pretty refined. A lot of cars from this era, from the late 90s to early 2000s, they are raw and they grate on you, and it's hard to daily them. But this car, I mean, again, it's a Porsche. They always do a great job balancing the sportiness, the engagement, without overdoing the raw factor. Now, because this is a all-wheel drive vehicle, you do have to remember that's going to change the driving dynamics. And on this road, with the gearing and with it being all-wheel drive, we couldn't really test the limits of traction or explore much oversteer. We got a little understeer here and there. So if you guys are making a purchasing decision, you have to keep that in mind. What kind of dynamics are you going for? The 4 is going to add a little bit more weight. The 2 is going to be lighter and also a little bit more tail happy. But if you want to go to colder climates, you want to go skiing, etc., then obviously the 4-wheel drive has its advantages. But thanks for watching, my friends. I had a lot of fun driving this 2000 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 Cabriolet. Much love, and I'll see you guys in that next one. Sick!
Nice.